American Stage is putting on a production of La Gringa, the story about a young woman's search for her identity. It's also the first ever bilingual production of the show. So joining us to talk about the show is Alina Alcantara, who plays Norma. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to see you. Let's jump right into the show, talking about this identity crisis that the show's about. Tell us about it.
Well, the storyline is the main character. Her name is Maria, young lady from New York of Puerto Rican heritage. And she travels to Puerto Rico to visit her family on her mother's side as part of wanting to connect with the culture, with her roots, finding that sense of identity. And yes, it is about identity because it's finding your sense of self. For example, something that I identify with, being the daughter of immigrants from Dominican Republic. What happens is that you grow up literally in two different worlds. Like I was explaining to someone that from our front door in, it was all Espanol. It was all, Dominican. That's what I grew up with. Outside of the front door, it's English. It's assimilating the culture. It's trying to fit in. So I remember growing up, and even until only very recently, feeling like a bit of a misfit, that you're not quite Latina enough, you're not quite American enough. And that's kind of what the underlying message of the play is.
There was this discussion of when she goes to Puerto Rico, she's an American. When she's in the United States, she's Puerto Rican. So it's very much, who am I?
Yes, very much so. And that's something that happens to all of us, whether we're first or second generation, it does. So I think the beautiful message here is that you can embrace both. You can embrace both. You can find your sense of belonging, your identity. There's no really black and white. You can float between both and find that beautiful balance.
Love that. You play Tia Norma.
Tia Norma, Auntie Norma.
Auntie Norma. So tell us about the character.
Well, Norma is Maria's aunt on her mother's side. I like to say that Norma is a bit misunderstood, and I say to those coming to see the show, they might have a hard time finding her likable. Let's just say, she would be a bit of what the kids call salty nowadays.
Okay.
But what is it? Norma is someone who, she's the matriarch. She probably had to grow up real fast, see certain dreams kind of fall to the wayside, certain aspirations that she had. And there's some unforgiveness and some resentment there, but I don't want to give away too much of the plot. At the heart, she's a good woman. She has the best of intentions. Just that perhaps they're a little bit misguided.
That's got to be a fun character to play.
It is. And for me personally, it's probably the first time in my career that I've played someone who's a bit more leaning on the antagonistic side. So it definitely has been fun to play her. I love her.
That's wonderful. So we talked about this being the first ever bilingual production of the show, just not for American Stage either. This is of the production itself.
That is indeed correct. La Gringa was originally written in English by Carmen Rivera and then translated entirely in Spanish. Currently, La Gringa still plays in New York at Repertorio Español. It's been there for well over 20 years, but it's been the Spanish production. This is the first time that both scripts have been married, and you have a fully bilingual production where dialogue is happening in both English and Spanish.
How has that been? How has that been to be a part of something like that?
It's been wonderful. It's been very beautifully received by Spanish and English-speaking audiences, or both, or bilingual audiences. For me personally, it's been a lot of fun and a bit challenging. For me, I am fully bilingual, so understanding both languages, yes, I kind of switch into one and the other just almost as a reflex response. But it's the first time that I've performed or have had to learn a script in two languages. And so I've had to use my life skills of being bilingual and then somehow marry that into what I'm doing. So it's been very interesting. It was an interesting thought process.
Yeah, well, wonderful. Well, thank you for coming by and sharing this with us. We're looking forward to seeing the show. If you want to check it out, La Gringa runs through August 13th. You can get tickets at americanstage.org. Go check it out. Thank you.